Hey everybody, LeeSpeed here. So my long-awaited update to my Talaya Plants deck profile is finally here. Although the ultimate question is, can I really call this Talaya Plants anymore? Because when I first put this together around last year in June, it kind of was true because she was the newest plant card that had come out at the time. And none of this new fangled plant crap even existed. So it's kind of weird. I named the deck after her because she was the main focus of this deck. And to an extent, that's still kind of true even now. But now with latest additions, she won't have to do this kind of stuff all alone. So yeah, this is the main deck, extra deck, and just extra stuff that I've either considered or maybe you guys can try out. And yeah. Let's quickly go over the main deck and extra deck and then do a more in-depth analysis and stuff, because I tend to do that for a lot of my profiles. So here we go. So starting off, for the monsters, we have 2 copies of Talaya, Princess of Cherry Blossoms, 1 Titanium, Princess of Camellias, 1 Cheetah Beam, Princess of Autumn Leaves, 1 Gigaplant, 2 copies of Lone Fire Blossom, 1 Dandylion, 1 Naturia Rose Whip, 2 copies of Crane, 3 copies of Mathematician, 2 copies of Junk Forward, 1 Spell Striker, 2 copies of Marauding Captain, and finally we have the Redox Dragon Rule Boulders. For the spell lineup, we have 1 Dark Hole, 1 Foolish Burial, the double reinforcement of the army, 1 Mind Control, 2 copies of Forbidden Lance, 1 Soul Charge, I guess I got some explaining to do with this one, 2 copies of Miracle Fertilizer, 2 copies of Monster Reincarnation, and triple Instant Fusion. Yeah, I'm going a little bit insane with this one, aren't I? For the traps, 1 Solemn Warning, the 1 Torrential, the Bottomless Trap Hole, the Compulsory Evacuation Device, and the 1 Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. It's kind of a weird name to say anyways. For the extra deck, 2 copies of Fusionists. And for the Synchros, we have Armory Arm, HDS Psyhemoth, Goyo Guardian, and Naturia Barkion. For the Xyz, we have 3 copies of Malaya the Trees. We have the Soul of Silver Mountain, the Mech-Whipped Engineer, number 17 Leviathan Dragon, Hieratic Sun Dragon Overlord of Heliopolis, Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand, and finally, number 107 Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. Now, this particular choice right here, I had number 15 Giant Grinder, or Gimmick Puppet Giant Grinder. I mean, that's kind of a toss-up. I mean, I kind of thought about using both, but this is the one I'm actually thinking of sticking with for a while. So as far as the deck and how it operates, I mean, some people probably know how it operates by now. The main premise is getting Talaya on board as fast as possible and using her effect to protect your other plant type monsters from being destroyed by card effects. This is especially very useful when I'm starting to swing the field with cards like Gigaplant, which can summon more monsters, with Lone Fire Blossom that can summon plant type monsters. You also can add the protection effect that Titanium adds from targeting, and even the floating capabilities. So yeah, you have quite a bit of muscle in this deck, and I guess in essence uses like a lot of combos leading up to big boss monsters, I guess, with Talaya being the core focus, obviously. So yeah, since Talaya is the star of the show, I gotta have the 2 in here. I think 3 is just like, yeah, that's too much, even for me, who loves this card. Titanium, because protecting stuff from being targeted is always nice. Cheetah Baby, because having a nice wall that can pretty much float for whatever plant you want is also very nice. And turn 1, she's a very solid opener. If I have the Malaya and then I go into Cheetah Baby, that's pretty good. So that's nice. Gigaplant. Now this card I've actually somewhat debated taking out or not, because there are times where drawing him isn't ideal, but the reason I really like him in this deck is for his constant reviving of plant type monsters and even summoning dead ones that are in my hand, which is obviously very good because, well, this is about swarming the field with them. So it's just like, yeah, swarm with more plant monsters, yeah, baby. But yes, that's why he's there. The 2 Lone Fire Blossom. I've said it once, I've said it twice. Heck, I probably said it in every freaking profile so far with this deck, maybe except for one. I still consider Lone Fire Blossom one of the best support for a type of monster in the game. like as far as like supporting a particular type of monster, this is one of the best in my opinion. Like, I don't think I really need to explain why. I mean, he's been at 1 for so long, and the fact he's at 2, I mean, that's still kind of astonished me. Even with Sylvan's coming out, I thought 2 was maybe too much, because it is very easy to get to that low fire. Trust me, it is so easy. As long as he doesn't go to 3, then I'll be very happy with that, because 3 would be just like, wow, like, you guys don't understand. But anyways, moving on. Dandylion, pretty self-explanatory. Just gets you them fluff tokens when he goes to the grave, and he's a main part of your rank 3 XC plays, because, you know, Lone Fire can get to this, and you have stuff like Junk Forward, so it's kind of a no-brainer. Plus you get free tokens even when you detach them. Rose Whip, still love using the 1 copy in this deck, just because she's an Earth Plant Tuner with a decent effect on the field. It can come in handy sometimes, depending on the matchup, but yeah, she's mainly there as a level 3 Earth Plant Tuner monster. So yeah, not much to say there. So yeah, she does open level 6 synchros because of cards like Crane being in the deck. Crane just being a 1 card rank 3 play or 1 card level 6 synchro plays. Definitely couldn't ask for more. Now, I'm still not running 3 just because I don't like starting with this card. Like, I know that's going to be weird because I actually have a lot of Earth level 3s that I can actually revive with this effect. There are times where I open with Crane and no other targets, and it sucks. So I kind of had to cut him to 2 when I did, because, well, he's a great top deck for the most part, because I could pretty much just go for whatever XC plays that I desire. So that's why he's here. I wouldn't cut him out or anything like that. Mathematician just gets that Lone Fire, gets that Dandylion, gets whatever I need into the graveyard for future plays, and obviously he's a target for Crane as well, and I can use him along with a card like Junk Forward or Spell Striker to make rank 3 plays while also getting Lone Fire into the graveyard, so I can go into Malaya the trees and get that Lone Fire back that I dumped with Mathematician. So he's definitely very helpful there. 2 Junk Forward, I cut him down from 3 to 2 because opening with him is great, but having multiple copies at a time kind of sucks. The main idea, he's just there to just go bam, turn 1, special summon him from your hand, and summon something else, make Malaya the trees. I mean, that's kind of why he's there in the first place, isn't it? Yes, it totally is. But yeah, 2's fine for now because, I mean, we can get him whenever we need to with the reinforcement of the army, and if we just happen to draw him turn 1, that's even better. So that's kind of a thing. Spell Striker, I'm still only running the 1 Spell Striker. I know some people are going to be asking me, why are you not running 2 or something like that? Well, believe it or not, I'm not the guy who's lucky with this guy. I'm not the guy who can just have multiple spells on my hand turn 1 and a Spell Striker. I've had games where I open Spell Striker with no spells in my hand. Even with this recent build, you know, when I was playing some other games off camera, there were games where I had Spell Striker but no spells, and it's kind of annoying because you obviously want to just special summon him along with, you know, maybe like Junk Forward and Spell Striker, so you don't use up your normal summon run up to jump. Or heck, even just summon some of those banish spells, summon Mathematician along with the Spell Striker, and then go for your rank 3 plays. 3 is fine though, especially because I could just get to him whenever I want to with reinforcement of the army anyways, and I can even get it back with Monster Reincarnation, but more on Monster Reincarnation later in this profile. 2 copies of Marauding Captain. Now this is a card that I was not using initially, and for kind of a good reason, mainly because I was using Junk Forward. I almost considered him better in most aspects, but he does add a little bit more to this. He does add a bit more to this deck than you may realize. For one, I can have monsters on the field when I use this effect, so I can go for a rank 3 play, potentially, even if I have other monsters. So that's one thing. Even though he is vulnerable to Maxi and Effect Veiler, unlike Junk Forward, because he's an inherent special summon that doesn't start a chain. He does, but I like the fact that he's just another option and another target for Rhoda. So it just really depends on how I open up. Plus, I needed more level 3 targets that, you know, I can maybe start off with, because going for Malaya the trees turn 1 is definitely a very crucial point in this deck now, as opposed to going for even the shooting star dragon play like I used to sometimes. So that's kind of why he's there. And I mean, you can get the pseudo lock with him, which I don't think I've actually done yet. So I mean, that's the thing if you wanted to do that. Redox. Now this is a card that you might not even need, but I like him as an extra option in here because I know that we all hate Dragon Rulers. Well, most of us do. Most of us hate Dragon Rulers for, you know, what they did in their prime. But I like the Dragon Rulers as like attribute support. You know what I mean? Here he's an interesting option. I mainly use him for his effect to revive a monster. And this is particularly useful, especially if one of my plays has been interrupted. Redox can come in and pretty much revive one of my other guys. Like if my Crane gets effective alert or something like that, I can use Redox to revive the monster I was going to bring back with Crane. So there's that kind of utility as well. Plus, if I need to, I can defend myself with him with 3000 defense. And he's also another way of just discarding cards like Chew to Be May or Gigaplant if you just happen to draw them in your hand. So that's kind of another reason why I like this guy. I thought about maybe running like Leo in the extra deck because this and Natera Roseweb equals Leo, the Keeper of the Sacred Tree. I initially was gonna do that, but I'm still kind of undecided on it though, because you might do it, you might not. I mean, I mainly just use him for his reviving effect, and he's Earth, so he just happens to work with most of the monsters in this deck. So yeah, that's freaking Redox. He's a Dragon Ruler. He's very good. I don't think I need to say anything else. For the spells, Dark Hole. Dark Hole, it just wipes the board. I know it's not good against like certain decks like Shadows, but to be honest, this is kind of just one of those things I could side out or something like that. I like it just because if I'm falling behind against certain decks, I can reset the board and go off myself. And because of how this deck operates, Dark Hole isn't as big of a deal for me. I mean, once you're set up, Dark Hole isn't going to do anything if you have two Talayas, or if you just have the one instead of other plants, only she dies. So, and you know, it just depends on what you're going up against, I guess. Foolish Burial just dumps up whatever you want into the grave. You can dump Redox to revive. You can dump Dandylion to get fluff tokens. You can dump Lone Fire. So when you go for like Crane or something like that, you can go bring back an Earth monster like Mathematician, Junkford, or Spell Striker, make Malaya the trees, get back that Lone Fire that you pitched with Foolish Burial, and you're on your way. So yeah, there's quite a bit of ways, there's things you can do. You could even pitch a Flower Princess from your deck, just so you can use a card like Soul Charge or Miracle Fertilizer. So I mean, there's quite a few things you can do. Reinforcement of the army gets these 5 guys. There you go. That's basically what the cards are in for. And it, of course, having 2 obviously means that the consistency of opening up a Malaya play is definitely faster. Of course, getting those terrible hands of like these it's possible. It's not going to stop that, but the opening plays are definitely more consistent. By just a little bit, of course, because it's just one extra copy of Rhoda. It's not like it's a 3 or anything, which, to be honest, I didn't even expect the card to be a 2 in the first place, just because I feel like it's a bigger toolbox card than even like Fire Formation Tanky in essence. So that's kind of why. Mind Control, I just think it's just a really good card right now. Just because being able to snatch an opponent's monster is very good, and sometimes I use it just when I'm going for game. If they just have a monster in the way, I could just snatch it and then swing at my opponent for game. And there was a game I even did against a hero matchup where I took his absolute 0 and I overlaid it with one of my Flower Princesses for a rank 8 play. So you can do that as well. So I mean, it just has a lot of utility. Forbidden Lance protects your stuff, basically. Protecting this is definitely very good, because if you protect her from getting destroyed by stuff, then all your other plants are safe too. So that's why I have that there. The 1 Soul Charge. Now, I said I had to explain why I'm only running 1 of the Soul Charge, because 3 is obviously the prime number for this deck, right? Because Lone Fire Soul Charge is totally retarded. But let me explain. It's kind of simple, but at the same time, I might have to explain it anyways. I mean, the thing is with Soul Charge is that I'm paying 1,000 life points for each monster I bring back, right? Now, I recently added Instant Fusion, which I had to pay 1,000 life points for each one. Now, I'm only going to resolve like 2 in a game. In fact, the 3 is only in here just to get to the Fusionist plays faster. And I also have Solemn Warning. Plus, I can open shitty and I might take a lot of damage. I would rather not have multiple copies of Soul Charge in the deck. Instead, I would rather have something like Instant Fusion, because at least if I have Instant Fusion and a level 3 Earth monster, I could go for Malaya of the Trees and maybe get myself back into the game. Soul Charge, while it's very powerful, and I might put 2 back in this deck, I'm not sure. But it's just kind of like, I'm not even sure. I'm very undecisive, but 1 seems to work. At least that way, if I do draw it, it's not like, oh, I drew it dead early in the game or something like that. So yeah, that's just kind of my reasoning. I may go to 2. I'm not sure at the time, but 1 seems to be working out okay. Miracle Fertilizer. I'm undecided with running 3 of this, just because I don't like drawing this too early, especially when I don't have anything set up. But late game, this is a fantastic card, because heck, just getting back your Flower Princesses for no reason, it's nice. Getting stuff like Gigaplant, no problem there. Cheetah Beam, Miniature, Wall Up, Titanium, just to deal with targeting effects, just whatever you want to do. And plus, you can do some kind of cute plays like Junk Forward, and then Miracle Fertilizer, the Lone Fire, or Dandylion to get back the Lone Fire with Malaya of the Trees. So you have that. And I mean, that's basically why it's there. Monster Reincarnation, another new addition to this deck besides the Instant Fusions. Now, Monster Reincarnation is a very interesting card. I use it mainly to get key pieces out of my graveyard and into my hand, but more importantly, it's a discard outlet to get these out of my hand, basically. Like, these you don't want to draw. And I mean, I don't think I need to explain why, right? Because they're pretty much stuck in your hand for a while until I get Gigaplant online and use this effect to get them out of my hand, which is not ideal. So using Monster Reincarnation to get a key monster back into my hand, like Crane, or even Redox, if I use this effect this turn, I can get him back to my hand to use again next turn. So it's definitely a very interesting utility card. And I can also use it to get back a card like Spell Striker, because I can just banish the Monster Reincarnation and then special summon the Spell Striker from my hand. So it's just like a pretty darn good toolbox option. Now, 2 is the right number. I don't think 3 might be overkill, to be honest, because I'm going neg in the process. So if I'm gonna go neg, I gotta make the plays count. Instant Fusion gets out Fusionist, who's an Earth level 3. Now I'm running 3 just so I can possibly draw this as fast as possible. Plus, I don't want to have too many games where I'm just like, oh, I have all these, but I don't have any of these because I didn't run enough level 3 special summonable monsters or whatever. With these, the chances of opening with like this or this or this or this, I mean, there's like so many different Malaya of the Tree opening hands you can have now, especially when I'm adding the 3 instant fusions. So, and of course, when you have the Rhoda, that adds a bit more consistency to that. But, you know, it's Yu-Gi-Oh!, so you can't be too careful. For the traps, they're very precise. One warning just to stun, Torrential just to stun, and when I have Talaya out, it's kind of like a pseudo Dark Hole. Well, it's like a pseudo Raigeki if I have like 2 of these on the board. Or if I just have 1, it just pretty much nukes all my opponent's monsters and 1 of mine. So that's why I have them there. Bottomless, just a really good card. Compulse, it's just a good card. Finish Wind Blast, it's just a very interesting disruptive tech option. I use it mainly because not only can I disrupt my opponent per turn, but again, a discard outlet gets these cards out of my hand, while at the same time, it pretty much means that I can just bring them back with a card like Redox's second or third effect, or using a Miracle Fertilizer, or using Soul Charge, or going for like a Malaya play and bringing them back. So yeah, there's quite a few ways you can utilize a card like Phoenix Wind Blast, but only one though, because I think too many is gonna clog, especially because I don't want to be discarding cards from my hand too often. But the ones I do want to discard, they're definitely gonna be key. I mean, they'll be better off in the grave anyways. So anyways, there's that. So as far as the extra deck, I have 2 Fusionists because of Instant Fusion, the Armory Arm because you can make Armory Arm with Natera Rose Whip and Fluff tokens. You have Sahemith, which you can go into with Crane and Natera Rose Whip. Same with Goyo Guardian and Natera Barkion, which you can make because of Crane and Natera Rose Whip. Then you have the Malaya of the Trees, self-explanatory, kind of like the main rank 3 XCs you go into, just to get your Lone Fire into the graveyard or to get it back so you can keep exploring the field. That's basically the purpose, and I am running 3 in this deck. And I timed out. I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. And we're back. Well, that was kind of awkward. And that's basically how it's going to be every time I do long profiles like this. Anyways, mod the trees. Very self-explanatory. Main exceeds to go into. Get your plays going. And yes, I'm running 3 in the stack just because 2 might not cut it. Especially because the deck's more focused on her than before. Definitely more than before. Especially when I'm not utilizing too many high-level synchros, or I'm not using like Spore and stuff like that. She's kind of the main focus. Soul Silver Mountain, kind of the latest addition to this deck, particularly because just bringing back Earth monsters from the grave when you take out something is pretty nice. He also has the nice effect of locking out a back row, which is obviously very good. But I like him just because I can revive this Redox with 3000 defense. That's pretty nice. Plus, at the opponent's end phase, he goes back into your hand, which then you can use as effect to revive a monster. So in a way, it's kind of like another way to kind of abusing Redox, because yeah, you're probably not going to be special summoning him from the grave that often, unless you're in a desperate situation. But getting him out of the grave with a card like Soul of Silver Mountain is obviously very cool, because it allows you to just kind of get utility out of Redox next turn. You can also bring stuff like Tutor Beam back in defense mode, which is obviously very good. You can bring back Dandylion. You can bring back Mathematician. Just whatever Earth monster you want. So, and it doesn't matter what the level is. So, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a pretty good card. Probably not like the bet. I mean, I don't go into it that frequently unless like I think I need to bait out some cards or something like that. But yeah, he's got a good effect for what it is. Definitely a one of. Mecha Engineer. Still love this guy in this deck because protecting Talaya or any of your other beat sticks is really good. That's why he's here. Even before he caught on. Number 17, just another beat stick. I mean, I'm not running Acid Golem because like that's like the most counterproductive exceeds in this that I would ever be running in this deck. Basically because it locks out my special summons. And it's not something I want to be doing. So yeah, I'm not using that. Heartlanddraco and Overlord Heliopolis. I actually make this guy a lot more than I make like Felgram, because between like fluff tokens or whatever monsters I may have on board at the time, the amount of cards I can blow up is huge. And there are times where I just need to nuke the board and swing for game. And if my opponent is trying to stall with certain monsters or whatever, I can just nuke them out of the water and then just swing at him with everything I got. And he's a dragon that I can banish for Redox if I need to, so that's kind of a thing. Felgram, I still like this guy too, but I don't go into him as frequently. It just depends on what I'm playing against. If I have like 2 Talayas on board, for example, and I'm thinking my opponent has a card like Big Eye that he can summon, I make this so that I can stop that play, basically, or I can make him immune to Big Eye. And if I use a card like Miracle Fertilizer, I could just bring back the detached Talaya. So it's just a really good option. So I like the running the one just to kind of diverse my options a little bit. And number 107, Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. Now, like I said, I was running number 15, but the thing is, I mean, it's kind of a toss-up. I mean, I guess for me, this was a little bit more effective in some games, mainly because negating the effect of other face-up monsters on the field sometimes might be better than trying to blow stuff up, especially when you're unable to do so. But just being able to negate the effects of the monsters altogether is really good, and it kind of punishes your opponent for trying to activate an effect, especially one that activates in the graveyard, for example. I mean, he gets another attack and another 1,000 points. It's pretty good. So yeah, it's kind of like a crazy skill drain during my battle phase. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the extra deck and the main deck. As far as the side deck, these are just cards that I've used or even may have considered at one point. Number 87, Queen of the Night. I remember when I actually used her in this deck before, a long while ago. Back when Number Hunters was coming out, I decided to try running her in the deck. Got her out once, I think, just for shits and giggles. But she's not that practical, at least not in here. In some other decks she might be, but not in here. It's sad to say because it's actually one of my favorite cards as far as artwork in the game, and it kind of sucks that she's not that good. I mean, I'd say she'd be decent if she didn't require 3 level 8 monsters. Moving right along. But yeah, you can use her if you want to. You can use like Galaxy Queen's Light, but yeah, I'm not doing that right now. good old Marina, Princess of Sunflowers. This is a card that I haven't used in a while, actually. Not since, like, that one duel I had against Gladiator Beast, I think. But you might ask, well, why not? Because, well, there's a couple reasons. For one, see, the problem I had already was drawing into these. Running 5. I'm already running 5 possible dead draws. Adding a 6th one is not ideal. That and her effect, while it is good, it isn't, I don't know, I don't always see myself using it too often. Now, her effect counts on one of my plant type monsters being destroyed, right? Now, with this deck, I'm trying to, get Talaya out so I can protect my plants from being destroyed. So, if you think about it, this counts on your stuff getting destroyed. She protects your stuff from getting destroyed. Now, to be fair, if you have like Talaya and Marina and they go like Dark Hole, well, Talaya's gonna die and that's it, and then her effect can blow up a card. I like her for the ability to pretty much punish your opponent from trying to blow your shit up, basically. And for that reason, I actually want to run this card. But something tells me it's not a good idea, especially with how my luck was pretty freaking bad prior to the changes I made to this deck. It's not something that I want to be counting on too much. But I may put her back in, at least. I'll consider it, so don't you worry about that. Violet Witch. Yeah, it's been a while since I used Violet Witch. Violet Witch was a card was a key player in my Talaya Plants deck profile, well, the last time and the times before that, because Lone Fire was at 1, and this Violet Witch got me to that Lone Fire, which was kind of important. But she's not needed right now, so maybe later on she may be useful again, but when I can get to Lone Fire pretty much almost whenever I want, she's not that needed anymore. Lord Poison. Kind of with this, it's kind of a weird situation. The card's great in the late game just because you can pretty much bring back any plant type monster you want when he dies. But early game, it's not ideal. But it's a card I have considered time and time again. Same with this one. Mainly because of they both special summon plants from the graveyard. Late game, these cards are fantastic. So, it's kind of up to you what you want to do. And Lord Poison works great also with Marina, because not only are you going to be recurring stuff in the graveyard, but you also get to blow up opponent's card. That's pretty good. And that's every time too, so you can kind of do a loop. You can do like Lord Poison, ram, bring back Chidabime, ram, blow stuff up ×2, get another monster. So you can do some cool stuff like that. Fallen Angel Roses. This was a card I actually ran as well. Mainly it's another beast stick that I could summon at will. But a card that I almost considered running a rank 7 monster for with like Redox. And obviously she was a monster I could discard with Redox to use as a reviving effect. But I don't know. I may put her back in, but for now she's another option that I've used, and I don't know if I actually need her. But she's something you could definitely try out. Seed of Flame. Now, this goes along with a different kind of deck, which I don't know if I'll get into that often, but mainly a fire plant themed deck revolved around Marina. Basically because she's a fire plant type monster, and you have a card like Circle of the Fire Kings, and you have Lone Fire, which is a fire type monster, fire attribute. I wonder. But yeah, there's a couple ways you could kind of play around with this, but I don't know, I may or may not look into that. The Serene Psychic Witch, mainly off of like E-Telly, you can play like the Psychic Engine with like Commander and Witch. I'm not doing that though, just because it's counting on me not drawing these and these at the same time, and I'm already kind of like I'm already running an engine like that, so that's kind of a thing that I'm doing. So yeah, and this thing, never mind, I'll fix that later. But yeah, that's kind of why she's there. Shogi Knight, just because I thought about it, he might be an interesting option. When he's summoned, you can target a set card in your opponent's spell and trap zone, and you reveal it, and then if it's a trap, you blow it up. Otherwise, it just goes back down. And then when you destroy something with that effect, you get to summon a level 3 Earth monster from hand and face up defense. So he would serve the same purpose as something like Marauding Captain, to just spam out the rank 3 plays as fast as possible. But what is kind of cool about him is that he can blow up a back row while he's at it. So if there's a back row in the way, you can blow it up before you go for your plays. And he's searchable off of Fire Formation Tanky. So You can do that, and I haven't actually done it yet, but it's something I have considered from time and time again. But I don't know if I'm going to use them now, just because, I mean, it's counting on my opponent having back row, and not everyone's going to be doing that. But it's definitely an option you can look at if you're playing a deck like this. Rose Archer. And now I ran this card for a time in my deck just because, well, she was searchable with Rhoda, and she was level 3 Earth, and plus, you know, she just serves utility and protecting my plant type monsters from traps. I'm still uncertain if I want to put her back in or not. For now, I've been okay without her in the deck. Circle of Fire Keys kind of ties back with Seed of Flame and Fragrant Storm. This actually kind of ties in with Marina as well. Like I said, if you make an entire deck around Marina, you can kind of use cards like this. You can blow up one of your own plants and then draw a card and then, you know, get to blow up another card. So that's pretty good. Then Polynosis, because there are plants in this deck, but I don't know how useful it is. I actually thought about running it in place of one of my other traps, but I'm still very undecided. So anyways, this is my deck profile. Let me know what you guys think about this. You know, if you have any suggestions, you can leave them in the comments. And as per usual, this was a very long deck profile because I didn't want to just do the deck profile and be done with it. I wanted to explain things, because explaining things is good. Because especially for people who have probably never even seen this deck for some reason, I don't know. But yeah, love this card. Wanted to make a deck around it last year, and it's led up to this, huh? It's pretty crazy. Crazy journey, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.